shepherd and pastoral people in the Horn of Africa. And it was at that time, when I was doing this first field survey, that I met some Burana from Kenya that were speaking about this ritual center, political center, which are located into Ethiopia. And from that time, I've decided that has to be my field. So when I did my PhD work, my PhD research, I managed to go there because in the meanwhile, in Ethiopia, they open up for anthropological research.
What's good for you in the short term?
Oh, well, when I did my research, there were already brilliant ethnographic reports on the Gada by Asmarom Leges, and that was my Bible when I was in the field. And another perspective was given by Paul Baxter, who did research in Kenya. He got the ritual dimension of the Gada. So my work was basically locating myself not in the center where the Gada village is. I did not live in the Gada village, but somehow in a village in Burana and see how in daily life, what is the meaning of Gada in daily life for people. And it has a meaning in the religion and at the same time in politics, in the sense that it was the base of this organization, the way people organize themselves from pastoralism, allocate water rights, solve their internal problem. And then when I got in love with this institution, and now we have a conference here which not only deal with the specific Oromo issues or the situation, position and aspiration of the Oromo, but also incorporates a vision for all the marginal individual, like the farmers, and even groups, marginal groups that have been suffering during this time. So I am now attending this conference on a specific invitation to speak about not the Oromo, but marginal groups in Ethiopia.
Your presentation was amazing, that you connected the Buganda people with the Oromo. And what can you tell me regarding that?
There's a lot of underlying commonalities between all sub-Saharan African peoples, because some of us believe that we come from one source. And if you go to various historical theories by black historians, that source is somewhere along the River Nile Basin going all the way up to ancient Egypt. So that made me think that I've heard about the Oromian struggle, I've heard about the challenges here historically, and it reminded me very much of the struggles for native identity and native autonomy that we have been having in Buganda, inside Uganda. Based on what I've been hearing about your Gada system, which is based on an ultimate precision and correctness over centuries, that is very, very, very impressive.
And you also underlined the fact that linguistic qualities, sticking to one's own indigenous language is key for Africans to maintain their own identity. What do you mean by that?
Well, Africa reached a point in many parts of Africa where it was completely dispossessed. Especially in those parts of Africa that were colonized by Europe, you found that everything had been taken away. The land had been taken away, the political power had been taken away, and the new economy that the Europeans brought did not belong to the Africans. Now, Africa have been trying to reconstitute themselves and regain their autonomy. So the only thing that Africans were left with for a long time in some places was their language. So you found that because the language contains all the knowledge, the scientific knowledge, the historical knowledge, the political knowledge, and the cultural knowledge of the people, it is like a computer hard drive. If you take away everything else from an oppressed people, but leave them their language, once you go away, they can use just their language alone to rebuild themselves, because it carries the whole cultural memory of the people and the knowledge of their civilization. That is why language is central to this question, and it is therefore important to always protect and promote our languages.
They presented different ideas from different scholars. When scholars like this, they meet from different area on their specializations area, they did their study and presented what they know. Then after this discussion, it will help to produce knowledge. most of the time the problems of our scholars, they learn from different institutions, they are not producing knowledge. Knowledge must be produced according to the country and according to the need of the people.
It's a homecoming for OSA. Ethiopia, Oromia, Finfinne should be its natural place of residence, but this has not been possible. Now that we have held this conference here, we hope to open up an office here and carry out regular activities, because the proper place to conduct research on the history, culture, social matters and what have you of a people is being within the community. So that's what we are looking forward to. My presentation, it is titled Multi-Nation Federalism and Identity. This is about, first of all, the idea of federalism. What is federalism? What's a multi-nation federalism? Why do we need multi-nation federalism? The short answer is we are a multicultural society. We can only handle that through this kind of federalism. So the first thing I did was to show that. The second thing was to explain identity, why we need identity politics, and to address, people who would say, identity politics is backward, breaks up the country, and so on. This is all not true. It's not in tune with the times. If you have some ABC of political philosophy, you should know that identity politics is very prominent today. It has always been at the center of political decision making. What is new is now we have started to say yes to identity politics, but always, wherever you go, identity, ethnicity has been central to, it's not because you speak about it, but when a regime, for instance, is Haile Selassie's regime not ethnical, when it collects around itself all these people, the Jazmachs and who have you, from northern Shawaya, and appoints them as Ndarases in Walega, in Ilubabor, and if this is not ethnic, what is ethnic? So, ethnic has always been at the center of political decision making, appointments and so on. Now what we are saying is groups, I don't actually like the word ethnic, people use it to degrade and so on. Nations, nationalities, which have their own identity, history, etc., have to be able to rule themselves, to determine their destiny, to contribute also to the nation, to the country. No need to really say the one negates the other. The two can be complementary. The two can live peacefully with each other. So that's what I was trying to say in the paper. Towards the end of the paper, what I was saying was each one of us as groups and also as individuals need to have empathy to one another, understand one another, understand the worries and concerns of each other. And there is ample ground to understand each other. We share actually so many things in common, but also there are differences, and it's not necessary to do away with these differences. I think our history, the history of this country, is a glaring example of how it is impossible to do away with differences. So we should accept that and then see and look for ways of how to live with this diversity, which is also, as is always said, strength, beauty, resourceful.
OSA held its 33rd conference for the first time at homeland in Finfinne City. What have you felt about that?
It's been amazing, just in general seeing I think the most powerful thing for me is seeing people from so many different political parties, so many different ideologies in the same room. And these are, really amazing people who have done amazing things for the Oromo cause. But just seeing them all in one room to kind of learn from our Oromo scholars and other people who have done amazing research on different Oromo studies, it's truly amazing to witness.
What have you felt?
It feels surreal, but it also feels that something that was bound to happen. We accredit this to those who have participated in the struggle for freedom within Ethiopia, and in particular related to the Oromo cause. It is a cause that is 150 years in the making. It is a cause that the young generation has fiercely led for the past 5 years, and some would say for the past 25 years. So it is incredibly important that we emphasize that we are here as a result of the sacrifices paid by the Kero and Arle generation, and also those who have participated in the liberation struggle. For us to be here, it is particularly historical for 2 reasons. One, our people are currently changing the narrative that is within this country as it relates to the Oromo. Second, it is the transition that has taken place that has granted everybody within this country, all nations and nationalities, the opportunity to decide their fate, the opportunity to pretty much create the kind of future that they hope to see within this country. So it's special for those 2 particular reasons.
Is your association effective enough to touch all corners of the world to bring these people together?
Absolutely. It would be because essentially we do come from the Gada origin, one of the most advanced egalitarian democracy in the world to date. Secondly, the mission for this year was to bring together scholars from all walks of life. And in particular, the President's mission this year was to bring in scholars from marginalized groups so that we can come together, advise one another on a way forward, but to also structure a future for this country. So it is a larger mission. It is a mission that we hope to continue. But this particular time in history is very important for OSA to come home and deliver some policy suggestions for a way forward.
OSA publishes these journals in English, and I read one of them. Actually, most of them, almost all of them, have been written in English. You're working for the Oromo and Oromo studies, but you write in English. Why that? Why not Nafan Oromo in both languages?
That's a legitimate criticism. It's something that we have to work on. OSA was established in 1985 in exile. So it is an institution that cannot participate here within its home country. And it has been holding conferences in the diaspora, but never in Oromia, Ethiopia. So the journals, by that very nature, were written in English, but as a member of the board, and we have discussed this on numerous occasions, we are going to push and make sure that we are having journals both translated in Afan Oromo and hopefully as we move forward in Amharic as well, because we want to touch a larger base of this country, but also the global world. And we think that that's a mission that we're going to take responsibility to make sure it happens.
Do you think it has contributed for the success today we observe in Ethiopia?
I think OSA, just like every other Oromo entity, has collectively participated in pushing the agenda of breaking down really ugly narratives about marginalized communities. More importantly, it has served as an institution to kill the Ethiopianist narrative that the Oromo is the other, that the Oromo does not necessarily belong within the Ethiopian state or the Ethiopian empire. I think what it has done is reconstruct a new narrative about Oromo history. It has created a new image that is based on facts and not narrative that's falsified, and a narrative that has an intention in diminishing Oromo history. What I believe that OSA has accomplished is to open up dialogue about Oromo history, open up dialogue to other scholars so that many people who do not understand the Oromo could better understand the Oromo. And I think that's a great contribution to the freedom struggle as well.
Presidency in 1 year interval. I mean, I would like that. And how come it is only each year over the last 3 years, many presidents of this association were appointed, and even now the president-elect is there, I know. Why that? Does it settle the situation there on?
We believe we are essentially children of the founders of egalitarian democracy. We believe in the practice of transition. We believe that different voices, different interests should be represented. And every year, an OSA president has the opportunity to create a conference based on what he or she believes should be the mission or an issue that is addressed for that particular time. And I think that's really important because it gives a lot of people to bring in new perspectives, it brings in new ideas, and I think that's something that ought to be celebrated, and 1 year is good enough if you are going to work really hard to make sure that that mission is delivered.